Bayern Leverkusen and Aston Villa have agreed on all the terms. They have a total agreement in place for the signing of the very exciting, the very talented Leon Bailey to join the Premier League next season. This has been touted and tipped by many to be the tipping point and the moment that will see Jack Grealish become a Manchester City player. It's been reported for the majority of the summer that if a bid on or in excess of the British Premier League transfer record, which of course currently lies with Paul Pogba when he joined Manchester United from Juve, would be enough to see Jack Grealish become a City player and conduct himself and play under the tutelage of Pep Guardiola at the Etihad Stadium next season. Yesterday, the official £100 million bid had been made. On Tuesday, the talks begun. They progressed throughout the course of the week. The £100 million British transfer record bid is now sitting there with Aston Villa. It is mooted, and it is believed that this bid will be accepted. Jack Grealish will become a Manchester City player. But then the big debates begin. Will he reach the heights? Will he live up and be a hit for £100 million? What of his replacement, Leon Bailey, heavily linked to the Premier League for many years? A lot of people at Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool alike have been asking their clubs to sign him for a long time. And he joins this very exciting Aston Villa team, which it does appear Jack Grealish is about to exit and leave from. But I want your views. I want your opinions on this. Will Man City then go for Harry Kane? What is the knock-on effect then for the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool? What is their reaction to this transfer going to be? I want your views. Get them down in the live comments now. I want you to phone in by clicking on the link in the live chat function right now. We want to hear from you. StreamYard link. Get yourselves on. Make sure you subscribe to the Football Terrace. We're also going to be covering off any transfer questions you have this afternoon. Jules, Kounde, Haaland, Kane, Ruben, Neves, and much, much more. You know what comes next? Here we go. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Terrace, everybody. What an exciting afternoon it is. Big W's for the beautiful country, the wonderful country of Jamaica. 1, 2, 3 in the ladies 100-meter sprint final. And now their star player joining the Premier League, joining the Aston Villa revolution. Congratulations to him for securing that deal. Of course, Aston Villa and Bayer Leverkusen have got that done, dusted, and over the line. Of course, it's always subject to a medical and personal terms being agreed, but they are formalities at this point. They're formalities at this point. What comes next? What comes next now is the big question. It's been reported and thought about all week that Jack Grealish will become a Manchester City player. As we reported first thing on Tuesday morning, that the talks that it was on and that talks were about to progress into that advanced stage. A lot of people didn't like the sound of that. There was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of frustration. But of course, it turned out to be 100% true. These talks over the course of Thursday and Friday progressed quickly. And as Fabrizio Romano said during his live stream just a couple of days ago, this deal will be resolved quickly. This deal will be over the line or off rather quickly. It will be a case of the bid will come in and it's either going to be accepted or rejected. They don't anticipate this one taking too long to get over the line at all. There was a lot of radio silence for about 12 hours or so after the 12 to 24 hours or so after this official bid went in. They've got Leon Bailey done and dusted and over the line. Of course, there'll be some areas of Aston Villa that may claim that it's an addition. You know, they were looking at Emil Smith Rowe. Leon Bailey is just an addition. We want to keep Jack Grealish. And I think they would try to still keep Jack Grealish, having signed him or not. But don't expect it to be. So, yes, he may be the replacement for Jack Grealish, but expect Villa to buy more players if and when Jack Grealish does go. But all signs look very, very good now for Manchester City. It's closing in to being a completed deal. It isn't quite there yet. Let me reiterate. It's soon. It feels like it's going to be done. There doesn't appear to be any stumbling blocks right now. Aston Villa, behind the scenes, have always suggested that if a record bid came in, a British transfer record bid came in, they would look to accept it. Of course, publicly, they were never going to say this. Jack Grealish had his head turned. There's no doubt about it. And I think the exploits of England in the summer have really nailed that down as well. I think that those exploits away with England have made him want to go somewhere and compete. The adrenaline, the accolades, the attention you get is there. And I think Jack Grealish, and it's part of the power that he is as a football player. It's part of the power that he's got, is that he thrives on that kind of attention, I believe. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this moves forward and how this develops. I want your thoughts and your feelings. We've got a lot of people backstage to talk about this already. We are going to touch on other transfers later on in the show. We're going to talk about Martinez to Arsenal. What is going on there in case you missed our stream this morning? Man United's pursuit of a midfield player. Harry Kane, Haaland, Lukaku, and any other questions you want. Member chats and super chats. Of course, we always take them seriously. Everyone who's just new to us as well, if you go to the link, the description below, there's all the links to our social media accounts. TikTok, there's our Telegram notifications package so you never miss another stream from the Football Terrace again. And remember, as we say, it isn't just comments and super chats. We do take your calls on every single show for you to come on and express your opinion. We're also going to chat a little bit later on in the show about Man United set to make a move for Leon Goretzka. So a report that's come out today. We're going to give you our thoughts and feelings on that. As well, we have a super chat here from Charlie that says, Villa fan here with Bailly. Where can you see Villa finishing this season in a Grealish or non-Grealish? Do you know what? If you keep Grealish, if this deal with Man City inexplicably you turn down, and I would say inexplicably because I don't expect you to turn down £100 million for anyone. If you don't have Grealish, I don't know who else you're going to go after. Ward-Prowse is the name that you've mentioned as an example. I mean, if you bring in Bailly, if you bring in a Ward-Prowse and say, I'm making things up here. I'm making things up. James Maddison. I'm throwing James Maddison in there because there's a lot of talk of him maybe leaving. Of someone of that ilk. I'm just throwing a name out there. So apologies for that because I haven't thought this through until your super chat. This is off the cuff. If you were to sign those players, I still think Villa can progress this season. I think you can win more games. I actually, with the money, I would maybe look at a top class centre back if that was possible to bring in. I would start to look at the French, Spanish, and Italian leagues that are struggling financially and try to bring in. You know how Spurs are looking to bring in Christian Romero, which I'm trying to get an update on. I'm trying to reach out to somebody. They just haven't come back to me yet. They're buying one of the best centre-backs from Serie A. Maybe that's what Villa could do, because if you could strengthen... sometimes you don't need to replace Jack like for like to improve your team. You bring in a world-class centre-back, as an example. Maybe look for a central midfielder that's going to be very good now and brilliant in the future. Very Leicester-like. I know you don't want to be compared to Leicester because they're obviously rivals of yours, but there's lots of ways you can go. If you keep Jack Grealish with Bailly, with Buendia that's come into the team, you're going to be a serious threat. Of course, you've got excellent striker up front, and I'm really intrigued to see what he's going to like in his second season as a Prem player as well. David Gardner here says, good signing, but I don't think it will make a huge difference to City. Big change for Grealish. How will he adapt to being part of the way they play from being the main man at Villa? And that's the question, isn't it? That's why we put the poll up right now. 67% of you in our poll think he will be a hit at £100 million. And I think the £100 million is important because it's a colossal amount of money that's being invested here by Manchester City. So the standards have to be high. We have to hold high standards for him as we would for any player that's going for that kind of money. Tahir says FSG should be on the dole. So tight and stingy owners is what Tahir believes. The Croydon De Bruyne is better than Grealish is what RIP Noah has got to say there. Marble Hall says they won't get top 4, but at best 6 without Grealish is what Marble Halls thinks about that super chat question. Of course, we always pose our super chat questions elsewhere. Let's go to some of our first callers that we've got on the show today. We're going to get Porcelain on, who is an Aston Villa fan. I'm so intrigued to get his take on this. Give me your thoughts and feelings, first of all, on signing Leon Bailey.
I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon. I think I spoke to you yesterday a little bit about him and basically that he has the traits that I think we desperately need, that explosive pace in behind. It gives us a completely new attacking dimension. And what we lose with Jack Grealish when it comes to carrying the ball, Leon Bailey, he's great on the ball, very good dribbler. He can take a man on, gives us an incredible goal threat. And let's be honest, I mean, compared to Trezeguet, El Ghazi, and Bertrand Traore, this is several levels above. And the testament is there by virtue of the fact that this was a viable Jadon Sancho alternative maybe 2 years ago, when it looked like that deal might not have sort of gone over the line. So and from what I remember at that particular time, watching yourself and watching sort of Goldbridge, it wasn't necessarily an unpopular choice, really. A lot of Manchester United fans were relatively happy to be linked to him, and as were a lot of Arsenal fans and a lot of other fans of top 4 teams. So the fact that we are, looking at this profile of player, looking at that, it's just a really, really big testament to our recruitment. And I think that the big thing for me, and this is what I'm so excited, is that we've done the business that we need to do before Jack's out the door. That for me is huge. Buendia and Bailey, in my opinion, together offer us more than what Jack does on his own. And especially if you add into the fact that 2 seasons in his last 5, he had a very significant period out with shin splints. And that's an issue that Manchester City fans need to be aware of, because this is a recurring thing that tends to take him out of the season for about a third of the game. So, knowing that we can now diversify what Jack gives us across a number of different players, that for me is such a big deal.
Yeah, I think what you said there about getting the deal done first, it's really important, because it gives you options now as a football club. It means you can, if this deal falls through for whatever reason, let's say City can only afford either Kane or Jack Grealish. Let's just put that out there as a theory. And suddenly they find out they can get Kane. They might pull away from the Jack Grealish deal. Or maybe Villa just turn around in the end and say, do you know what? We're just not going to sell him. If you add these 2 players you purchased with Jack Grealish, it's a formidable attack. You're knocking on the door as one of the best attacks in the league, of course, on paper.
Yeah.
If you lose Jack Grealish, as you say, your future, one of the most important things for football clubs to do is to future-proof themselves. And that's what you're doing, signing very talented players who give you something a little bit different, but you're maintaining levels. And one thing that frustrates people is when you sell a star player, that's not the end of a club. There's a lot of Man United fans who have this warped view that selling or allowing Paul Pogba to leave is ending the club. And my take has always been that isn't the problem. The problem is who replaces Paul Pogba. So we are looking at a potential move for Leon Goretzka. It's a long shot, a little bit like the Varane deal. But if Leon Goretzka knows we're there and we let Bayern Munich know we're willing to buy him, and he turns down their next contract offer in the next 3 to 4 weeks, Bayern Munich might be tempted to give him to us. Of course, if Leon Goretzka comes in and then Paul Pogba leaves, I'm not as bothered. But if Paul Pogba and we replace him with Mark Noble level player, another Scott McTominay, or we just say we're going to promote James Garner from the academy, you become frustrated. So from Villa fans' point of view, it's big. In terms of Jack Grealish, on a scale of 1 to 10, how certain are you now that this £100 million bid is going to be accepted and Jack Grealish will become a City player?
I mean, from the reports I'm seeing this morning, it has been, or at least it's very likely to be accepted. From what I've heard as well, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but the stories of a release clause may have been right all along, and it appears that maybe there were discussions between the two parties as to the release clause, and Manchester City, instead of just lowballing an offer, probably just did whatever they could to make sure that release clause is hit. So maybe that's somewhere as well. But I do think he's a City player now. I think that the business we've done, especially with Buendia, was largely, I think a large part of it was on the off chance that Grealish was part of the plans as well. But I think that looking at the profile of the two players, the chance creation that Buendia gives us definitely fills a massive void of what Jack leaves.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, it's looking a lot like Aston Villa's business has been done with the, with that in mind, with Jack Grealish potentially out the door. So I think he's a City player now. I don't think there's any real debate. I've seen a lot of Aston Villa fans making a bit of an embarrassment of themselves on Twitter over the whole thing. But I think I'm more of a realist, and I'm more of a guy that, I wish Jack well, and I hope that he does well, and I'll always, root for him. I think he could have made that next step into legendary status, and I don't know if he's quite hit that yet. But I wish him well, and I think we can build better.
Mate, I hear you on that. Great call. Thanks for coming on the terrace, mate, and having your say. Thank you very, very much indeed. Thank you. Do you know what I think is interesting about that take is your club isn't over because somebody leaves. Your club isn't finished because your best player goes. It's all about your club's reaction. It's all about what they do. What is their response? And Leon Bailey is an excellent signing, there's no doubt. Thank you there to Jelly Spoon for becoming a member. Remember, this is the final day of July to enter into our competition. We will do that prize draw tomorrow. Which will be essentially picking a winner of, the winner will get a football shirt of their choice. Anyone who super chats in £5 or more, or $5 or $5 Canadian dollars, whichever the equivalent is, or becomes an official member of the Football Terrace, will automatically go into the prize draw. Of course, Maria Williams won last month. Month before that, it was D1 and Ginger Fury. Slightly different competition, but they're the winners. We're going to do that draw tomorrow. I've been working on the names every day so that I don't have a big job to do at the end by putting them all into the hat and drawing them out. So get your super chat questions into us. Sign up to our membership scheme as well. It'd be amazing if you could. You've upgraded actually to becoming a squad member. So Jelly Spoon, remember to send me a DM. One of the benefits is we will follow you back across all our social media platforms. We do have a super chat here from Ione that says Villa are going to have a very intentional. Sorry, Villa is going to have to be very intentional with how they spend that 100 million. Lots of clubs will know they have funds. I think that's one of the reasons why they've completed Bailey first of all. They will have clubs want a lot of money off them. There's no doubt about it. But it can work. Coutinho from Liverpool, remember that? Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people asking for what the other news is. Terry, is there a Ruben Neves update? Yes, there is. There is a Ruben Neves update. And essentially, when it comes to Neves, the situation is where it's always been. The deal is on. It's an active deal that is open. Manchester United are heavily interested in him, but they have not advanced the conversations. They're interested, as we say. They would like to buy him, but there's a number of moving parts. What is happening with Paul Pogba? What is happening with Leon Goretzka's situation at Bayern Munich? They're two of the big factors in this deal. Ruben Neves is aware of Manchester United's interest. They believe between now and around 2 weeks' time, United are going to make their move for the central midfielder they want to be part of their team going forward. But they have to wait for Paul Pogba to sit down and have these conversations. They're expected to happen next week. Arsenal Football Club are interested in Ruben Neves. He's aware of that. That situation was reported a few weeks ago as being a little bit more advanced than Manchester United's, but Ruben Neves is waiting. He's waiting and not committing to Arsenal because he would prefer the move to Manchester United. So it is very much a deal for around £35 million that Manchester United can get done, but they're being diligent at the moment and they're waiting on a few other moving pieces before finalizing who they're going for. You don't want to sign Ruben Neves and then find out 2 days later you could have picked up Leon Goretzka. Let's wait to see what there's two things here: what Paul Pogba is going to do, and what Leon Goretzka is going to do also with his situation. Any questions you have, please get them in. Super chats and member chats will always be prioritized as homage paid to you. Any other transfers that you want an update on, please let us know. I want to go through a few more of these before we go to some more calls here this afternoon. Please smash that like button as well, people. Doesn't matter who you support. It's supporting the Football Terrace. I know a lot of you are new to us. I know a lot of you have only just subscribed in the last day or so. But get yourself subscribed and done. There's a little bit of spamming going on. So what we're also going to do is change the chat to subscriber only. And just put a slight delay on how often you can put chats in. So we're going to delay that by 30 seconds just so it doesn't go crazy. Martinez to Arsenal. So Martinez to Arsenal is, again, we spoke about this morning and we'll give an update on it. It's very, very simplistic at this moment in time, but positive for Arsenal. So Arsenal are legitimately interested. And as Peter O'Rourke broke the news on Twitter 3-4 days ago now and stated on our show, Arsenal Football Club are serious about pursuing Lautaro Martinez. They've made some preliminary offers, some informal offers via intermediaries of cash plus players. Both Bellerin and Lacazette have been offered in a cash plus player exchange deal. Inter Milan, in an ideal world, don't want to sell him, but they have financial problems, and they would rather sell Martinez and keep Lukaku. They still have to probably sell at least one more star player this summer, and they are trying to protect the asset of Lukaku by keeping him at the club, and they think they can do that by raising those funds through the sale of Martinez. Martinez is aware of this. He does prefer to play for a club with Champions League football, but he is open to the idea of moving to Arsenal Football Club. That element won't progress until after the advanced talks between the clubs and the player have happened. In those advanced talks is where the ideals of the club, the progression of the club, the plan of the club will be proposed to the player, the squad status, the position of everything going on that he'll receive, and of course things like salary. It is a report that Arsenal are willing to offer up to 200,000 a week, currently on 80,000 a week into Milan, to bring Lautaro Martinez across. So it is a deal where there's a willingness to sell and there's a willingness from Martinez to join, but it's a very difficult deal to get done. The next 3 or 4 days are going to be very, very important in the progression of that deal. If you hear nothing, I would take that as a positive sign. Of course, an even more positive element would be talks have progressed and they're close to a deal. If you hear within a day or so some credible people say it's not happening, it isn't moving forward, then, of course, the advanced talks have ended and Martinez has decided that now isn't the right time for him to join Arsenal. But it's a positive sign for Arsenal Football Club. They're pushing to get that deal done. No doubt about it whatsoever. Let's do some more of these comments here. Remember, if you want to get them read out, what we want to talk about the transfer deals rather than generic questions. So get your questions in about some transfer deals for us. I want to be kind of led by you. A few people are asking here. Romano says Lautaro wants Champions League football and it isn't happening. Do you know what? I know he said that. I absolutely know that Fabrizio said that. I watched that stream. But one thing Fabrizio will often tell his people is the world changes. And the world can change very, very quickly when it comes to transfer deals. If at any moment there is a situation whereby Inter tell him he's going to be sold, they have to sell him, then he has to then look at who the options are. What is then going to happen? And if Champions League football is on offer, but on an 80 grand a week contract, and 200 grand a week to come and play in the Premier League is on offer for him, he may at that moment in time think, do you know what? I think with what they're building, we can get back into European football inside the next couple of years. And at the very least, I can raise my profile. If Inter decide to sell him and big Champions League clubs want him, it's going to be very hard for Arsenal. But they're putting themselves in there. They're putting themselves in there with a chance and an opportunity. As I've said, very hard for Arsenal to get done, but it is not an impossibility. It is not an impossibility as per Mr. Ornstein this morning. Porcelain here says Villa have now spent 75 million this window on 2 top quality players who feel he's void. We have no longer under pressure to panic spend 100 million. Calm. That's very, very true as well. Very, very true indeed. That's very true. We're going to do another call here, and then we're going to get back to some more of your questions. I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling. Next on the show, the opinion I want to get is from... We're going to go to Donny James is here. Donny James, Leon Bailey's at Villa. Man City closing on this £100 million deal for Jack Grealish. Give me your thoughts.
Terry, glad to be here. Yeah, first of all, this Leon Bailey deal. Really happy with this deal. I think that Aston Villa's got themselves a really prime prospect. And I remember a few years ago when Arsenal were linked to Leon Bailey, or Arsenal fans wanted Leon Bailey a couple of years ago. So, you know, I think that Bailey would really work for Aston Villa, especially if they either keep or sell Grealish. Whatever happens, I think Bailey's going to be a great player either way. In terms of Jack Grealish, me personally, I like how Aston Villa fans aren't mad if he goes, because I think it's like at the end of one era and the start of a new one with the likes of Bailey, Buendia, you know, all these other talents. So I think that if Grealish goes, there won't be a sense of madness. There'll be a sense of, okay, we move on. Best of luck to Jack. If he stays, though, that'll just make Aston Villa's squad a whole lot bigger and better. So I think that Aston Villa's fans wouldn't mind either way what happens with this. But I think if Grealish goes, Bailey just slots into that role really well on the wing. So I think that even if he stays, it's even bigger. But if he goes, then you've got Leon Bailey to be the first team that fills that role. So I think Villa are sort of prepared no matter what. And I'll stretch my case. I think Villa will be on a hunt, kind of like how West Ham was last season. I think that Villa could be the side that tries to prize in the top four and maybe try and slots in there, but maybe gets fifth or sixth. So I think that Villa could really be the dark horses for the Premier League this season, especially with the transfers they're making. But yeah, really interesting story, Terry. And I'll be interested to see how this develops, but
absolutely,
we got a preseason match tomorrow, last one of the preseason. So hopefully see out victory, and then on Saturday we start the season. We start our season, and I'm looking forward to this season. I really, really am, because there's a real bright future ahead of Rovers. I'm really looking forward to it.
I hear you on that, my friend. Listen, top man, thanks for coming on, Donny James, and giving us your thoughts and your feelings. Thank you. A few people asking here, Terry, what's the next update you want? I need the comments to come in. I know you guys like chatting to each other, but I said I want to be led by the audience. So give me an idea of what you want to speak about. And of course,
I don't know.
Member chats. I don't know. KJ just put himself in here. One sec, Cage, because no one can hear you right now. One sec, bro. Put your comments in. Member chats and super chats will take a priority over and kind of go from there. I want to do one more update, but I want a good one. And you guys, some of you chat some bare nonsense in this comment section. I don't even know what it is you're talking about as of now. Saul Niguez. Saul Niguez is a real good one to do an update on as it stands right now. So Saul Niguez, where to start with him? Barcelona are his preference, but they're struggling to get the deal over the line. You've got Chelsea that have made inquiries. You've got Liverpool that have been in advanced talks. Over 3 times now, they've had conversations with his team, trying to drive the price down of his contract to a lower base fee with an incentivized top-ups. Nothing's been secured from that point. Manchester United have also made inquiries into him, but it does look as though he's behind right now Goretzka and behind Ruben Neves as likely targets this summer. Camavinga, by the way, you can ring fence from those other midfielders because he's looked at as a medium to long-term option for Man United, as opposed to someone in the here and now to come in and improve us. The reason that United have looked at him this summer is because he may be moving earlier than everybody expected, so they might be forced into pursuing that deal. So it's unlikely that you'll see anything official come out about Man United, Chelsea, or Liverpool is in official contact or official bids be put forward until Saul Niguez commits to one of them on a more secure in a more secure way. He is waiting to see what happens with Barcelona first. Liverpool are not going to make an official bid just for him to do a little bit of a Jules Kounde, i.e. Tottenham, and pull himself away. So it is most certainly a deal that can happen for Manchester United and for Liverpool. Chelsea again, very kind of soft touch. And it's interesting when City were first linked, Chelsea, sorry, were first linked to him by Pete O'Rourke live on the terrace about 3 weeks ago. Everyone laughed at it, and everybody said, "Why would we be looking at him?" And then it's transpired since Chelsea tier ones that one of the biggest positions that Tuchel wants filled this summer is an additional central midfield player. So suddenly it starts to make a hell of a lot of sense why they made those initial inquiry, but Chelsea haven't progressed it in any way or any shape or any form as of now. Another update people want here is Christian Romero. Well, this is a real intriguing one, Christian Romero. So Romero's in a situation now where he wants to join. He is pushing for a move from Serie A, from Atalanta to Tottenham Hotspur. Now, as we know, Spurs are a notoriously difficult team to negotiate with. They're trying to drive the price down. There is a differential. I've read multiple reports from anywhere between 5 to 10 million pounds on the player. My assumption through reading these reports, I've had no conversations privately about this. I know nothing about this deal. I've not spoke to any journalists about it. I've not spoke to any agents about it. This is purely through reading the reports of very credible sources out there across the industry that it's closing in, but nobody quite wants to commit to it being close because they're almost scared of it falling apart. Tottenham still believe it will happen. The players pushing to get the deal done. You're talking 5 to 10 million euro differential, which is not a massive amount of money, but typical Daniel Levy. Will he become a Spurs player? I'm going to give you a prediction, and not me saying I know what's going on. I'm giving this a 90% chance of going through and being completed there. Romero to Tottenham is a legit deal. I'm going to bring KJ and Egal on now to have their say with me. I'm intrigued to know what they think about this big Jack Grealish move. Of course, Egal very famously told us on a number of occasions that he would be an Arsenal player. Arsenal could get him. Arsenal could fend everybody off, etc. We will give the next update we'll do after that. Ooh, everyone wants a Jules Kounde update. We will do a Kounde update after that, no doubt about it at all. But a comment, hang on one sec. Jamal here says, Terry, a tier 1 report said Atalanta will accept when they get a replacement. And that is also an option. As I say, I'm 90% sure, based on the reports that I've read, that this deal will go through. I've got no doubt in my mind. Before I bring on KJ and before I bring on man like Egal, do me a favor and smash the like button, people. We're sitting there on only 200 likes. What the hell is going on? That isn't like my Football Terrace community. You're much better than that. Ensure you sign up to our notifications group chat. It's in the link in our description below on YouTube. Go get yourself signed up to that. We're going to get that group a little bit bigger so you never miss any more of our notifications going forward. But as I say, without further ado, KJ's back with me. Egal is here as well. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, the Jamaican ladies, fam. Come on now. Smashing this sprinting. We love to flip and see it. My country. Let's go.
I'm very happy for Neeks, who supports Jamaica. Get off the bandwagon, KJ. Do you know what I mean? You're English.
Fam. When your heritage is from Jamaica, you can go support it, innit? Like, I am supporting.
I support. Do you know what? The Olympics is really strange for me. I like the story. This is where I'm a bit like Ram on football. I love the stories. So today, it sounds really weird. I wanted Team GB to lose to Fiji in the rugby because Fiji, they did, and they won a bronze, the Fijians. And it's their 3rd medal ever in the history of the Olympics. And that just, as a human being, that just makes me happy to see. So I was like, I felt sorry for the Brits, like, because they lost. But at the same time, I'm like, that's literally, without being horrible, that's all that country has ever had success-wise on a sporting level. So I was like, yeah, man, like, do your thing. And yeah, Jamaica killed it today. But of course, big news this afternoon. Leon Bailey, another big W for the beautiful country of Jamaica. Their best player joining the Premier League from the Bundesliga. Have you noticed that nobody's questioning Bailey and saying, yeah, but he's only done it in Germany. What's he going to do here? Everyone's like excited. You notice that it's gone away because no one looks at Villa.
Because of the club that he's gone to.
Exactly. But I want your thoughts. First of all, KJ, on Bailey, what you think he's going to do in the Prem. But of course, Jackie Grealish, imminent transfer to Man City.
Yeah, we'll talk about Bailey first. Obviously, I just want to say 1, 2, 3, and now 4. You know what I'm saying? We love to see it. Bailey going to Villa is a big move because Leverkusen are a Europa League team. They sometimes sneak into the Champions League. Bailey's got Champions League and Europa League experience, and so that getting into that Villa team now it can only just improve them further. Leon Bailey's a very direct player. He can be frustrating. Because obviously when direct players like to dribble at players, like to take shots from places where they shouldn't, it goes wrong a lot of times. But when it goes right, absolutely beautiful. And I think he's a different kind of player to Jack Grealish, but it's something that they're gonna need going forward because clearly Jack's on his way, and so they need to use this money and they need to plan properly to create a team. And Buendia is a great signing. You've now got Bailey coming in. They just need a number 10, or maybe if you play Buendia in the 10, you get another winger. Maybe get some support for Watkins, some backup for Watkins, and they've got some decent options going forward, and that will definitely help them in the fight to get top 6 because that's where the club wants to go. They want to build up to becoming that team that, let's not forget, they've won the Champions League, they've won the European Cup, so they want to get back to doing that. So this is a good move for them. And Jack Grealish, I'm so sad, man. I'm so sad. Why does he have to go to them? Of all people, Man City, bro. No, I'm not one of these people screaming they're destroying football. None of that. Hey, you've got the peas, go spend it, innit? Like it's the way of the world now. But Jack Grealish is such a talented, wonderful player, and he's just gonna flourish in that Man City team. I can see him getting improved assists. I can see him getting improved goals, and the way that Pep trains players, the way that Pep gets them into the system and integrates them, it's gonna be lethal, man. And a lot of people are saying it doesn't change Man City much, but that's still another player of quality added to their squad that can change a game. Imagine if they had a Jack Grealish in that Champions League final against Chelsea. You're telling me they wouldn't be able to create better chances and create a goal? Like this is the thing. Like Man City, yes, they're stacked, but if they keep stacking, it don't matter if they're a different player or not. They're flipping just gonna have excellent players that can do multiple different things. So it's a big, massive move. Hopefully people can get Pogba's back now because he's not going to be the most expensive transfer in England no more. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
But yeah, big move.
I think with it as well, for me, as a Man United fan, the reason I'm gutted that he's gone to Man City is partly because it makes City stronger, but it's because it means unless he goes to a club in between Man United, he's never playing for my club now. If he'd have gone Arsenal, if he'd have gone Chelsea, if he'd have gone Tottenham, we can buy players from those clubs in one way, shape, or form. That is plausible. But if it's Liverpool or Man City, there's never going to be that exchange. So that's the bit that I'm gutted about. It's a bit like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp. I loved them and rated them both as managers before they joined City and Liverpool, and of course I rate them as managers now. But the gutting element was they're never when they sign for their respective club, it's like they're never ever going to be Man United manager now, which was gutting. Egal, from your point of view, first of all, I want your take on the situation with Jack Grealish, because this is a big signing now. It's closing in. For me, it could be announced at any minute. I actually think there's still some loose ends to tie up. What you're probably going to see is that some of the best journalists in the country know that it's done, but know that it won't be announced for 3 or 4 days. So they'll kind of drag out the news a little bit more. But from your point of view, how good a signing is this? And is Jack Grealish value at £100 million?
I think it's a little bit of overkill. Honestly, at this point, even as good as a club as Man City is and how much good players they have, Jack Grealish, for that amount of money, you're telling me they couldn't find someone across the continent who'd be a better fit for less money? Unless they need homegrown talent, I don't know exactly how Jack Grealish fits. Is he going to play on the left? Is he going to be part of the midfield? How is Kevin De Bruyne? How are they all going to work together? Are you going to be having like an open, free-flowing football the way you're doing? Are you going to slot him behind the striker? How are you going to play him? Because you still need a striker to replace Aguero. You still need to sell players. Manchester City, yes, they're this oil-rich company, this oil-rich business, this conglomerate, whatever you want to call them. but I just don't see how it works. That's why I never saw the fit for Jack Grealish to Man City, because they have so many players that are of a similar ilk, playing similar positions.
Yeah, bro, but you're talking about Pep Guardiola here. Like, it don't matter if you don't know how it's gonna work. He knows how it's gonna work. He ain't gonna target Jack Grealish for no damn reason. You know what I'm saying? He likes players to play a similar way. He wants players to be a similar kind of quality and similar kind of mold, because that's how his system works. If he wanted someone different, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have let Sane leave. You know what I'm saying? Because he was something different. He was that direct player that they didn't have. But Jack Grealish in this team, yes, he's a silky player, but he's also another ball carrier, which, if Bernardo Silva is not doing well, if Sterling's not doing well, if Mahrez's not doing well, they've got Jack Grealish to come in and do those things. And again, in games like that Chelsea, that final against Chelsea in the Champions League, where they clearly need to break someone down at the highest level, Jack Grealish is someone that can do something different. Because how many fouls can he win for Man City? Yes, he won't aim to do that as much, but look what he can do for that team. He can bring something completely different to Man City that I feel like, it don't really matter if you've got KDB, Foden, Mahrez, like Sterling. You've got them in the hands of Pep Guardiola, so it doesn't actually matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they don't need the money.
That striker as well. All right, it's finished.
I'm not only talking about the fit in position wise. They don't need the money to sell players. I get that. But who's coming in for Raheem Sterling? Who's coming in for Riyad Mahrez? Who's coming in for Bernardo Silva? Who's coming in for these players? It's gonna be overkill. At a certain point, you can have too many players of the same quality, and it will cause a ripple effect where you'll devalue your players and you can't get rid of them. Even though Man City's players are really good, no one across the continent can afford players. That's why Aston Villa is getting Leon Bailey for the price that they're getting him, because no one else is coming knocking on Leverkusen's door. They have a situation where they cannot sell their players. They're bringing in a player for 100 million, and you still have Bernardo Silva, Raheem Sterling. You still have Riyad Mahrez. You have all these players plus Phil Foden. How does it work?
It works. It works because Pep Guardiola knows how to make it work. He plays a false nine. He already plays the false nine. So you got KDB, you got Foden, you can play there.
You lose somewhere. You lose somewhere though. If on the pitch, it might work. Off the pitch, financially, it won't work.
Yeah. Look, I understand where you're coming from. In the short term, you're fine though. Like, legitimately, in my opinion, in the short term, you have no real issue here. In the sense of, in the short term, everyone will be happy to fight. I actually think all the other players whose positions he can threaten are going to be excited about him coming in. I also believe these players will think, I can keep Jack Grealish out the team. And that's the kind of competition you need. In a year's time, if Grealish or Sterling are playing a lot less, they may ask to go and to move on. The second element about who's coming in for them, it's a bit like you. I wanted to ask your opinion on Martinez. We know that Martinez has said to people that he wants to play Champions League football. Therefore, people put one and one together and say, well, he won't go to Arsenal then because they're not in the Champions League. But if Inter Milan don't want him and they're going to sell him, for whatever reason they don't want him, they're going to sell him, which is mainly financial. So he knows he has to move. But no Champions League club of a certain level, so maybe if it's Galatasaray want him or some Champions League team from Belgium want him, he ain't going there. If it's only Arsenal that are coming in and making a serious offer, we already know this. Mr. Ornstein has already confirmed it this morning that the terms won't be an issue because he'd be up for joining. The same thing could happen to a Raheem Sterling. If Raheem Sterling's told after Jack Grealish comes in, you're surplus to requirements, of course he's going to want to move to one of the legacy clubs, one of the big clubs. If none of them come in for him and he wants to play regularly, he may make that decision to go, okay, well, maybe I'll look for something else in my career. Like, I understand your point, but there are ways around it and ways through it. And I'd much rather my club be stacked with too many quality players than have holes for quality players in relation to that. Gary,
Phil Jones
picking up the channel there. It means a great deal to me, mate. Thank you very much indeed. One here from Zuber that says, Terry, off topic here. If Arsenal gets Maddison and Martinez, I think they will make the top 4 next season and challenge for the title the year after. I want to pose that. I want to talk about these transfers as well. Everyone who's new to tuning in, hit that like button. Let's get past 500 likes while we're live on the air, please. Jack Grealish closing in on his deal to Manchester City. Announcement expected very, very soon of an agreement and a total agreement on that. But Egal, Martinez, give me your thoughts after Mr. Ornstein's update this morning.
I still feel like there's a lot of obstacles in the way of this deal being completed. One being the player, the player's fee that Inter would want. Inter want about 77 million, as I think Peter O'Rourke said on the other day on your channel, right? So that if that's the amount that they're looking at, if we're doing a swap deal for Hector Bellerin, I don't think they're going to value Hector Bellerin anywhere near 20 million or even 15 million at this point. So we'll have to see if we can do a possible swap deal, if they'll be willing to accept that, and if we can get Lacazette off our books this season and possibly sell him. That's another obstacle. So those two obstacles are so great that I feel like I think it's going to be difficult to get done with 1 month left to go.
Do you think, aside from the deal being difficult to get done, which we understand that it is, and everyone that says it's plausible has said it's difficult, do you feel he would play for Arsenal? A lot of people are saying, why would he downgrade? Why would he come when there's no Champions League? Do you think if a deal could be struck between the two clubs, you could get him? Do you think you could get him to agree personal terms?
I think financially, we our Arsenal Football Club and majority of teams in the Premier League have the financial clout to get any player across the continent that they want, unless they play for a Real Madrid, Barcelona, or PSG, or Bayern Munich, Juventus. Unless you play for those elite clubs, it is plausible for you to make a move to a Premier League, to a top 6 club, because financially we have the clout to do it. I'm not talking about the history of the name, just the wages we'd be able to put him on. Inter might not be able to do that. And Inter, I don't know if they're financially in a situation still where they need to sell players, because they did sell Hakimi.
They are. So I think
okay,
go on.
So if they are still in a financial situation where they need to sell players and they'd rather sell Lautaro Martinez over Lukaku, and he only sees his only option as Arsenal because Barcelona are no longer coming knocking because they're in a financial issue. PSG and all these other clubs are not looking at him, and Arsenal the only club looking at him. Why would he stay at a club that doesn't want him? He would go to the club that wants him. It just makes sense.
AJ, what's your thoughts on this Martinez move?
If he actually did it, I would be disappointed, because I feel like you, as a player, you don't come off the back of winning your domestic trophy, your domestic league, and then also off the back of winning Copa America, to go play for a team that is still trying to build something. I feel like Martinez, he's a quality player. He's someone that I would love to see at United one day. But if he went to Arsenal, I just feel like the backward step is there. And it's not a backward step to say that he will never have a good career, but it's more of you're at a point now where if you're going to go somewhere to prove yourself, you go to a top 4 Premier League team, you go to a Chelsea who's just won the Champions League, you go to a Man City who's just won the league, even a Liverpool who you know of, who can even like go around and do great things again because they've won Champions League, they've won Premier League.
I just challenge your point quickly. Can Liverpool afford him?
Yeah.
Are Chelsea looking at him as a target?
Chelsea looking at him, no, but I'm not saying that what I'm basically saying is just because Arsenal are the only team that are wanting you right now doesn't mean you should have to go. It doesn't mean you need to go. Like, he is probably better waiting out another year, playing his football, challenge for the Serie A title again, than trying to scrap it out for just top 6 Europa League football. Like, for me, if I was looking at it as a footballing perspective, it doesn't make any sense, bar you're trying to help out your club by selling me and me getting more money for it. But there's no guarantee that I'm going to another team that will even produce what I've just been doing. Remember, he's back off winning the Serie A and winning the Copa America. Going to Arsenal after that is a bit of a anticlimax.
Do you know what? Yeah, look, Cage, I understand where you're coming from, but it's the one thing missing. your point, if Chelsea and Liverpool were all looking at him, there's no way he's picking Arsenal. Look, Ruben, and this is something that's been very consistent from everyone speaking about Arsenal, barring the journalists that are very close to Arsenal, where they've tried to be a little kinder. It's why Ruben Neves isn't a done deal. It's why Basuma isn't a done deal. They are waiting because there are big Champions League clubs looking at them. But with James Maddison as an example, the reason James Maddison's up for that move, and I know he hasn't just won a league title with the Serie A team, but it's because he doesn't want to leave the UK, and none of the big Champions League teams want him or are inquiring, but he wants something bigger. He wants something that's going to raise his profile. And I think with Martinez, if there's no massive Champions League club that come in for him and Villa are like, we're going to sell you, we need the money, I think a club like Arsenal could be good for him. It's the profile to get raised. I think he'll do a very good job in the Premier League. And then if Arsenal don't improve alongside it, he'll move. He'll, like, you know what I mean? I would almost say to Arsenal, I'll agree, but let's put in a buyout clause, like in 2 years' time for a certain amount. If we haven't achieved Champions League, like, I would almost, there are ways you could work this. Say to Arsenal, look, in 2 summers' time, we haven't made it into the Champions League. I want an £80 million buyout clause. That would be my stipulation to joining Arsenal with someone like Martinez, because I think the exposure to the Prem, the higher quality league, like, because there's not that many teams really looking at him, because there's probably question marks over can he cope, but it's going to be.
One thing, KJ, I felt the same way when Paul Pogba joined Manchester United from Juventus. I said to myself, why is he going to Manchester United for a record fee? They had at the time they were a team that was building. He's a guy who was doing great things for his country and his team in Juventus, and he came. And at the time, you could say, you know what, Manchester United were not as good as Juventus, and that was a backward step in his career. People do make backward steps.
Money. You're forgetting that at the time we just signed Jose Mourinho. At the time, still
regardless. I'm just trying to compare.
Because you forget. Yes, but I'm saying you forget. At the time, we just signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic, again one of the greatest decorated players in the game. We just signed Mkhitaryan, like Premier, like Bundesliga Player of the Year, most assists in Europe, all of that. The building that you saw Paul Pogba could have seen is a more an advanced level than what Lautaro Martinez right now can see at Arsenal. You saw what Man United were doing at that time, and you could potentially say they're going for the title. You can see Lautaro Martinez now. He's looking at Arsenal rebuilding, and yes, I'm actually very impressed with Arsenal's recruitment this summer. I think it's doing excellent, and I still think you'll go on and sign a very good, very big player. It might be Martinez, it might be Maddison, but if you look at the level of the rebuild and where these two teams were at, Man United at that time was still in a better place to rebuild than Arsenal is now.
I think the whole premise of
guys, we're going to move on. I get everyone's point, just because otherwise we stay on the same point.
Yeah, I've got to go now anyway. I just want to come back and cry about
Could I be quick with my point?
Yeah, go on.
I think the whole premise that anybody who joins Arsenal we should question their winning mentality and their ability and what they're thinking about their career is ridiculous, because at the end of the day, anybody who joins Arsenal would be joining Arsenal knowing that, one, yes, they're going to be getting a pay raise, but two, they're going to be part of a project to get somebody back to winning. And the same way we praise certain clubs for making signings, as rivals, you shouldn't be questioning the person's mentality. You should be praising the team for getting for even being in a position to get that player.
I hear that completely. We put a pinned comment up, and we're asking the audience here. No one's seen it, so I wanted to move on slightly, keep things fresh. I want to ask this question of the audience. You'll see the pinned comment now in the live comment section. If you can't see it, refresh it. I want to ask you this question here. Pick a midfield three, a Premier League midfield three, from the selection of players in it. The players are Bruno, Kante, Grealish, De Bruyne, Pogba, Mount, Gundogan, Jorginho. So out of those players there, I want the viewers to pick a midfield three of those individual players. Get your super chats in. Any super chat over the value of £5 or $5 or $5 Canadian, you'll go into the prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice. Today is the last day to enter that competition. The bill here says, even with Maddison, Arsenal will not make top four. Look at Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Liverpool. They are miles ahead. Arsenal fans just can't realize. But do you know what it comes down to, my bro?
I see that.
I want to make sure I say this in the right way. Arsenal not being one of the favourites to make it into the top 4 doesn't mean they shouldn't strive to get better and head towards it. And what I mean by that is this. It may take Arsenal 3 years to get to the level of the current top 4. But what you've got to remember is that there's no guarantees that the current top 4 from last year will improve or won't go backwards. We've seen every single season in the last 3 or 4 years. Look at the previous season's top 4 title winners and look at the year after where they've been. You know, Liverpool went from being over 30 points behind City to nearly beating them to a title with high 90 points. Manchester United were written off at the start of the last 2 seasons, but went on to secure that position. Chelsea City have been champions and fallen away massively the following year. Liverpool, champions and fallen away massively the next year. We don't know. Arsenal need to be in a position for 2 things. They need to be in a position to strike while the iron, it's like strike while the iron is hot, as an example. And what I mean by that is, if, for instance, next season, Man United and Liverpool have awful campaigns and are just losing too many games, Arsenal want to be ready to leapfrog them into those positions. Doesn't necessarily mean overall they're a better team than Liverpool and Man United right now, but they've got to be ready to pounce into those positions and improve themselves and progress. So from my point of view, like I've said this so many times to people before, yes, even with Maddison and Martinez, they're not one of the favourites to finish in the top 4. But that doesn't mean that their fans shouldn't be excited about the players coming in and the progression and the arc of the team, because you can't go from being 8th to winning a league title without stepping stones. It's unless you won the league 2 years ago and you just had a really bad season, then maybe you can make that leap. But it's about progressing yourselves. And I think that's one thing where Arsenal fans just need to remain sane and level-headed, that you're not going to go from being where you were to finishing 2nd in the league without other teams dropping away in front of you straight away. But that shouldn't be your concern, you know. That's
my concern, Terry, is to be still in and amongst the race for top 4 at least by April. That's minimum what I expect.
Yeah, no, exactly. I can understand you challenging for it and wanting to be in and around it and everything like that. We've got some selections here. We've got one here that says Bruno, Pogba, Kante. I mean, that is excellent. That is an excellent 3. We've got one here. This is a big super chat from Chris George, who says Mount, KDB, Kante. Again, that has creativity. That has great energy. That has great defensive attributes. Not a lot of goals, but very, very good indeed. I'm going to try and pick out members and super chats that have put theirs forward. Man like Jem says, bring Kounde home. We'll get on to Kounde in a minute. There is some breaking news about Kounde I want to bring to you. KDB, Kante, Grealish. That's very creative. Very strong. I mean, that is a 3 with a single DM with Grealish and KDB either side is brilliant. Daniel says Kante, Pogba. I mean, Kante, Pogba, KDB is...
That's mine.
That's yours. See, mine would be... mine's going to be controversial because it's not going to be the star players everybody thinks. Mine would be Jorginho in the middle dictating the play. Bruno on the right-hand side as the creator and goal scorer. And I would then I'd just put Paul Pogba on the left. I'd go with that. That'd be my 3. Paul Pogba, Bruno, and Jorginho in the middle dictating. I'd love to see that. Again, that's more of... I'm not... Functions. That, for me, most beautiful 3 to play together, because I think the connection would be brilliant. You probably need more of a defensive midfielder in there as well, but that's what I would go. Yours was Kante, Pogba, KDB.
Yeah, Kante, Pogba, KDB. Even though Bruno was better than KDB last season, I still think when it comes to the most balanced, the best midfield that I could make, I see KDB better with those 3.
Yeah, absolutely. So just an update for people that are tuning in relation to the Jules Kounde situation. I know that we spoke about it this morning. I'll reiterate it for anybody that didn't watch our show this morning. Everything's very relaxed and very, very calm from Chelsea's point of view. There is no issue between the player, Chelsea, and Sevilla. They are at a total agreement in terms of the deal going through the overall monetary cost of this deal. Okay, that's first and foremost. The main option for Sevilla is to have a player plus cash deal. They want that because if they receive over 50 million euros for the player, this is what I've been told, it might be 55, it could be 45, it's in and around that area. They have to pay a 30% sell-on clause to his previous club. If it's under that amount, they keep all the funds. Equally, they would like a good quality replacement as part of the deal if they can get that done. Emerson was first proposed, which Sevilla turned down. Zuma is the first choice of Sevilla, and he has been offered to the club. Christiansen is another option. Chelsea are not sure if they want to do that one. But if they can't find a resolution with the player plus cash deal, Chelsea are willing to pay the cash. Sevilla are willing to accept the cash. But it is almost the last payment option they want to go for. What's stopping the agreement from being announced is the Kurt Zuma situation. He would like to stay in London. This is a cast iron fact. West Ham are looking at him. He has to decide whether he wants to join West Ham or Sevilla or stay at Chelsea. On top of that, West Ham are deliberating between a number of centre-backs also. There's a very difficult situation that, in terms of that element of the deal, Chelsea and Sevilla have almost no control right now. It's about Zuma making his decision. So it's very relaxed. Nobody involved with Chelsea Football Club is panicking, worried, or concerned in any way, shape, or form. As we tweeted the other day, there was a very small issue, which my contact in France said is a formality. It's a formality because there's a foul safe. This isn't a case of Chelsea walking away from the deal. The only way this could go wrong is if Sevilla at the 11th hour, before the ink is dry, throw in a spanner and say, we actually want an extra 20, 30 million euros, and suddenly the price goes well and above what Chelsea would be willing to pay. But remember this, Chelsea have scouted him for 2 years. They've wanted him for 2 years. He is the legitimate, bona fide premier target for Chelsea Football Club. The possibility of this falling through is exceedingly low. Chelsea are incessant and they want him. They want to make him part of the team now and for the future. And in breaking news, he's been named on the bench for Sevilla's pre-season game today. The reports coming directly out of Spain in relation to this are they want to protect the player. They do not want the player to pick up any injuries. Again, a major injury in training would stop this deal from going through. But still, with everyone that I've spoken to, they're telling me deal's going to happen. It's going to be blue. So I would relax in relation to that. I would relax in relation to that. Comment here says, Terry Martinez rejected us. Where is that coming from? I mean, are the advanced talks over already? Is that a legitimate report, or are you just saying that, my friend? Do you know what? I have seen a report earlier on today from, is it Sports Media, somebody? I don't know who I never heard of them. I haven't seen it from legitimately, until I see it from a credible source, I wouldn't take it overtly seriously right now. I really, really wouldn't. But we know the Martinez deal is going to be hard. Advanced talks are taking place, but we'll see what happens. Robbie Singh here with an amazing super chat says, hi, Terry. Loving the great work you guys are doing. Certainly making it easier for me during the lockdown here in Sydney. Wanted to check if there are any updates regarding Man United transfers, and as the draw for the June already happened. So June's draw for the shirt has already happened. That was won by Maria Williams. But with your massive contribution you've just made, your name is going to go into it. It's going to go into the hat 10 times, Robbie Singh. 10 times, Mr. Robbie Singh, into the hat as of right now. So a massive thank you. In terms of Man United transfers, I will give an update on that because I think it's fair to, with that amazing offer, donation that you have just made to the Terrace. Just apology, I was writing something down. So with Man United, we are looking at a midfield player, as we alluded to earlier on in the show. Neves and Goretzka, Saul, Niguez, Camavinga. They are the 4 names that United are focusing on for different reasons, but they are the main focuses for Manchester United Football Club, no doubt. Now, United have to weigh up what's happening with Paul Pogba. We are going to make an offer for Leon Goretzka. That is going to happen. United are not at the moment thinking that's going to be accepted. It's a little bit like and the reason that United are skeptical is because, does lightning strike twice? Could Man United get exceedingly lucky, but lucky because their process has been correct, because they heard about the Goretzka thing many, many weeks ago and have held back from pursuing the midfielders whilst keeping them alive and keeping them hungry? If Leon Goretzka turns down his next deal from Bayern Munich, there was a genuine chance to bring him into Manchester United Football Club as the long-term replacement of Paul Pogba, who is still highly regarded as maybe leaving. But of course, if Pogba decides this week to sign this new deal with Man United, they come to a monetary agreement, he signs a new 4-year, 5-year deal, the Leon Goretzka deal becomes very unlikely. Very unlikely. United would then maybe look towards more of an established DM to go alongside Paul Pogba, maybe to move into that 4-3-3 role as an example. So then the Ruben Neveses of this world become options. Saul Niguez, equally like Leon Goretzka, almost gets pushed aside from being done. You could also probably then think about the idea of maybe Ruben Neves and Camavinga coming into the football club, because Camavinga is looked as a player they don't want to overtly rush in. So that's where United sit with that. Kieran Trippier, it's a deal that, Trippier is willing to wait it out. He thinks it can be done. United are definitely interested, but there is a big differential in price. 18 million to 34 million is a huge differential for a player of his age. So a lot of work still needs to be done before that deal can be concluded and pushed through. So a massive thank you, my friend. They're the only real links at the minute. There isn't anything else out there. I did see one the other day. Was it Boateng? I think that's been quashed by Fabrizio today. Yeah, just a nonsense thing. Just a nonsense thing there, my friend. What are my thoughts on Grealish to City? I am skeptical about how he's going to work in a very prescribed system, how much freedom he's going to have, how he adapts to that change in approach. But there's no doubt in his talent. There's no doubt in his desire. There's no doubt in his ability. I'm very intrigued and excited to see how he performs for Man City as and when this deal is accepted, and as and when this deal goes through, and gets over the line. Let's have a look and see a few more here. No worries, Robbie. Robbie Singh, I've just seen your comment there. No problem, and always willing to update, especially when someone puts in an amazing and very generous donation to the Football Terrace like that. Some of the comments don't like it. Terry, don't forget my name goes in 3 times. You've done a few super chats. I think your name's in about 5 times so far this month, my friend. I think it's in about 5 times, to be absolutely honest with you. If I remember right, because I've written them all down. This is like a manual process, my brother. A manual process, my brother. The last thing I'm going to say before I go is this. Another thing I'm really intrigued about seeing is Chelsea's response to a big attacking player going to Man City in terms of their haaland pursuit. Very, very intrigued indeed. Very, very intrigued indeed to see how that sorry, just reading something. I want to make sure that what it was. It wasn't what I thought. I'm very intrigued to see what they do and how they respond. I will be doing a full Haaland update tomorrow for you. I'm just trying to collate as much information as possible, really, just to see where we are. I don't know if there's going to be anything new, but we will most certainly be giving you an update on that situation. Big up, Terry. Jack to City means that they are going for the Champions League. They most certainly are. And I think that, one of the things that Egal pulled on earlier, like how do they fit? How does it work? Well, let's just see. But suddenly they're even more stacked than ever before. The thing with City is, from a creative point of view, when KDB left that pitch against Chelsea, there wasn't much else from a creative point of view. Jack Grealish gives them such a boost. Such a boost. Franklin here, I love this. Says, you are interested to see You're in the know, Mr. Know-it-all. You're in the know, Mr. Know-it-all. You should know who's on Chelsea's list. We know who's on Chelsea's list. Yo, we know who's oh, brother of mine, oh Franklin. Clinton. Listen, Clinton, I'm gonna have to send you a listen, bruv. We know who Chelsea's targets are. This is your funeral, by the way. We know who Chelsea's targets are. Kounde, Haaland, Rice, Saul. They're the main targets. We know who they are. What nobody knows is as and when they're going to bid and go for it. No one knows. Chelsea know. The Chelsea players don't know as and when things are going to be done, what the response is going to be. Nobody is making that claim. So, well done. That was the worst attempt at trolling you've done, Franklin. Jeez. There we go. Listen, I don't mind trolls, but every now and then they're funny. Any Liverpool news you know of? I gave the update a little bit earlier about Saul Niguez. So 3 individual conversations have been held with the Saul Niguez reps. But there is very little outside of that. And that's mainly because Liverpool don't let a lot of information out. Nothing to really update from compared to what, in relation to what we heard earlier on in the week. There is still this talk about there's 2 deals they're working on. Nobody can quite put their finger on who those 2 deals are. I would expect to see a player or 2 come in, a midfielder. They certainly need some cover in the attacking areas. Traore's been linked to them again recently, but nothing overtly new, I'm afraid, in relation to that. I've seen very, very little in relation to new players at Anfield at all. But look, everyone who's tuned in today, thank you very, very much indeed. It means a great deal to the Football Terrace that you all tune in so regularly every single day. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Thank you for all the super chatters, by the way. Please make sure you subscribe and make sure you sign up to our brand new notification system. It's via our one of our groups, which is the Telegram notification group. The link for that is in our description below. I'd love to see you all in it, by the way. There's like 1,200 of you still remaining watching this. I'd love to go into my app in a minute and click on it and see, I don't know, 1,000 of you in there. It'd be great to not miss, for you all to be here from the start of our streams. To be here from the start of our streams would be absolutely amazing. I have posted the link in the live comment sections. If you're watching on Twitch or if you're watching on YouTube, you can do it. Click on that link now. Telegram's amazing, by the way, because we can get up to 200,000 people in the group, so we can keep you all notified. So I want to see some more of you on that as well. Make sure you're subscribing, as I mentioned before. The growth's been amazing. We're closing in on 205,000 subscribers on the Football Terrace. Come follow me on my Twitter account as well. The link for that is also in the description. Just past the 37,000 mark. Nearly 10,000 new followers on Twitter in the space of the last month or so as well, which is absolutely humbling. But until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God